Let's slide around this corner, shall we? Woo! That's always fun. I love doing this little part right here. I can kind of fly off the lip and lose gravity for a second. Hey everybody, it's Ginger on Wheels here again. Thanks for stopping by the channel where we get to test and unbox the latest electrically wheeled gadgets. You remember this scooter, the Varla Eagle 1? It's a really sweet scooter out of the box, but I've got a bunch of upgrades on it now that I want to show you. So let's roll the intro and I'll show you what we're working with. So for starter, there are wide handlebars on here. These are 720 millimeter wide bars with an 80 millimeter rise, which is really helpful for me because I'm a taller rider. And another thing that I was able to do on here, that's really cool. The only other scooter I know that does this is the VSET 10 Plus. Actually, that's not true. The Bronco 11 Extreme has a bar like this too. It's a standard mountain bike mount size. So I got a mountain bike riser here, the stem riser. I think that's an 80 millimeter rise as well. Or no, it says right there, 70 millimeter rise. So it's raised the bars up quite a few inches, which is good for me because I'm 6'2". But I like the fact that you can do that on this scooter, and I love the wider bars. They make this thing way more fun to ride. It just feels stable, it feels hardy. I've got pretty wide shoulders, so it fits me really well. These are the stock grips, believe it or not. They're really comfortable as is, so I just left them on there. Also, I've got this cool laser device on the front. I'll cut to a scene where I filmed that now, but it shines lasers on the sides of the ground that blinks so cars can see you when you're driving by. Another thing I did on here, swapped on these hybrid tires. These are great tires. They're a little bit slower than the street tires by like 1 mile per hour, but they have so much more grip off-road. And they're not that loud when you're riding them on the street either, so they're like, it's a perfect hybrid tire. I really enjoy these things. The next upgrade, I'm sure you've noticed already, are my little frame sliders. These are for motorcycles actually, but they work really well for scooters too. If you do crash your scooter, which, you know, knock on metal here, the scooter will slide across these rails instead of sliding across the frame and damaging your scooter. And you can just replace these, they're like 20 bucks or something, and then you don't have to worry about damaging your scooter as much. You'll probably still nick the bars or the brake lever, but you know, you're not gonna ruin the frame of the scooter, so that's sweet. And the biggest and best upgrade on here that I don't know if you can see very well or not is this rear shock piece. Another cool thing about this scooter, it's essentially a rebranded 010X from last year, but one of the coolest things about it is that it has this semi-universal mount for shocks. So if you get a 165 millimeter shock, I recommend the EXA Form, I think it's a 291. You can adjust the compression. You have to do that before you put it on, but there's a little bolt at the bottom that you can screw in. And you can also adjust the rebound by dialing this little knob left or right. This is much more sturdy suspension at high speed, and it doesn't chatter when you're going off-road. There's no knocking or clicking noise. So the scooter already was really quiet, but I tightened down this fender a bit more so it doesn't rattle as much. And then the rear fender there, the rear suspension doesn't make a knocking noise when I'm off-road either, so it's kind of like my off-road stealth mobile. One other thing that I know you can do with this scooter is upgrade this clampy here. They make a clamp that's a little bit taller and much thicker. It's called a rugged clamp, and that'll prevent any stem wobbles. I've got one in the mail, so I guess that's the last upgrade I'm waiting on, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a really sweet scooter. For the price, I don't think you can beat this, honestly. I can't think of any scooter off the top of my head that's in this price range and is this much fun to ride. It's very comfortable with the taller bars. It's got nice smooth acceleration. It's only 52 volts, which is like the perfect amount of acceleration to not tear your front tire to shreds. I really enjoy this thing. It's got really good throttle response, pretty instant. And also, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but on the side of the QSS4 throttle here, there's a USB port, and you can slow charge your phone and stuff. So if you get a phone mount on here, which I had earlier and it's gone now, you can slow charge your phone on there, so you don't have to worry about your phone dying on long rides. One of the best things about these bars though is that it's got 2 flat spots right here, so you can mount headlights or your phone holder, but I really enjoy these bars over the stock bars. I wouldn't go back. And this grip tape here might look custom, but you can see it says Varla. It actually comes in the box, so that just looks cool. I've gone through and I made sure all the bolts are tight, and I put blue Loctite on everything, and in my opinion, this is just a super solid scooter. So let's hop on it and give it a ride. All right, so you can see right away how smooth this thing is off-road. Look how little my hands are vibrating. Just a little bit. If you're not doing extremely rugged off-roading where like there's no steep, you know, uphills or crazy routes you got to go over, This scooter is much better, I would say light to mild off-roading than the Cabo lineup. I might get some flack for saying that, but I think it's true. I can pop up on the curb and just ride along, no problems. With the Wolf Warrior, it's got really stiff front suspension and the rear suspension is not great at all. Pretty easy to crack the rear bushings, but this scooter does much better with that upgraded rear shock. Oh, I'm in speed 1, limited at 19 miles per hour. Head up to speed 2. The top speed on this scooter is about 35, which is pretty much in line with the Cabo Mantis. I don't know how much you can see of this, but the nice wide grip on these handlebars just makes this thing feel so much more stable to ride. I have much more confidence in turning it like this, or accelerating, decelerating. It's probably because I'm taller, but the tall wide bars, I love it. Again, these were 720 millimeter, and I'll link all the accessories that I've got below in the description so you can check those out for yourself. They are Amazon affiliate links for the most part. And the best way to support this channel is by clicking on and using the affiliate links. And you don't even have to buy the product that I've linked. One other cool thing that I kind of forgot to explain is that this front stem riser, yes, it rises the bars up a couple inches, but it also moves them a couple inches farther away from the actual stem pole. And what that does is it makes you so you don't have to stand as far back on the deck without having to like cramp your arms up into your chest like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Makes the scooter feel longer by a couple inches. Another great thing about this Varla Eagle 1 that isn't an upgrade, it just comes stock like this, is that when you hit the brakes and you have the Regen Braking on, so I have the Regen Braking on mode 1, which is really gentle, and it's instant. Unlike the Cabo lineup where you touch it and then it takes about a half a second for the Regen to kick in, the Regen on this is instant, so it flows really well with the natural braking of the scooter, which is pretty strong also. I noticed on my Wolf Warrior, the Wolf King, and the Wolf GT Pro that I have, the brake pads don't actually line up with the rotors all the way. They're hanging off by about 30%. That's a whole nother video. But on this scooter, the brake pads are perfectly aligned with the rotor. Excuse me. Yeah, off-roading on these hybrids is just so much better than the stock tires. I love this. That rear shock helps so much. Oh my gosh. If you're looking for a light to mid level off-roading scooter, this is definitely the one for sure. Couple $100 in upgrades and it turns this thing into a nice little machine. It reminds me a lot of the VSET 10 Plus, honestly. The only real difference is the robustness of the latching mechanism. So when you get in really rough off-road stuff like this, I don't know if you can hear it, the rear fender starts to chatter. And I read recently about an upgrade you can do where you can apply some washers in between the fender and the screws holding the fender on, and it'll put a lot more pressure on the fender so it'll stop doing that chattering. So that and the rugged clamp upgrade are the only two things I've got left. Flip her into speed mode 3 here. You don't get any more acceleration in the higher speed modes, but the top speed, whew, can we make the green light? Yellow, uh-oh, deep yellow. Nice. It's really cold today. It's about 20 degrees, looking at 33 miles an hour, which is probably closer to 32. This thing likes to exaggerate a little bit. This thing quickly became my favorite scooter under like $2,000. The rear shock's about $100, and I think the rugged clamp's about $100, and then the stem riser and the bars are about $50. So if you combine that on top of the retail price of the scooter, you're still under $2,000, and I think this is my favorite scooter under $2,000 for sure. The only real downside to it that you can't fix easily anyways is the battery. It's only got a 17.5 amp hour battery, which yes, it does make the scooter lighter, but I'm only looking at like 15 miles of hard riding like this for as far as range goes. If you're just cruising on it though, I'm about 210 pounds, I should say, with gear, and also 6'2", so very not wind resistant friendly. With my weight and size, I expect around 25 miles of just cruising speed with this battery, and about 15 miles of hard riding, like I said. Love this thing. It just handles the speed bumps so nicely. The Mantis Pro, which is right in the same category as scooter, has much stiffer suspension. It also has pretty tall bars, but they're not very wide, and they're not easy to upgrade either. They're not a standard mountain bike size. So -1 for the Mantis, +1 for the Eagle 1. They do have the same size battery though, so they're on par with that. The Mantis deck is smaller. I don't know if you can see my feet, but I have size 13 feet. They fit on this deck pretty well. I hang off the front and back by about an inch or two, but I usually stand diagonally and my whole foot fits on the deck nice. Oh man, it is so cold. Forgot to mention, we have a nice little bell on here. These gloves are not cutting it in the cold. My fingers are getting cold. But I did buy some new ones recently, and I gotta thank everyone who's been using my Amazon affiliate links. But thanks to all the people who's been using my affiliate links, I got some new gloves in the mail. Appreciate all you guys, and definitely a huge shout out to my Patreons. I do this scooter review stuff and the Fire Sack project full time, so I definitely need all the help I can get. YouTube isn't known for paying a lot of monies. Man, this scooter is sweet. The suspension I've got no qualms with. It's so squishy. It's in between the VSET 10 Plus, which is really springy, like a pillow, and then the Mantis, which is just really rigid. And the rigid suspension is great for high-speed cornering or really technical off-roading, but most of the times I just prefer squishy suspension like this. And if I crouch down, I can see 35 on the Speedo, but otherwise it's 34. Love, love, love this scooter. Great value, no doubt. The throttle response is so instant yet gentle on this scooter that I feel like it'd be really good to learn wheelies on, which I've been meaning to do. It's on my to-do list. You guys have any tips for learning wheelies? I tried for a while the other day, but I just have a hard time with it. With the 52-volt scooters like this, if you put them in single motor mode, there's no jerkiness in the throttle at all. It's really smooth and soft. Or you can just flip it into dual to get that more instant acceleration. Let's slide around this corner, shall we? Woo! That's always fun. I love doing this little part right here. I can kind of fly off the lip and lose gravity for a second. Ooh, very deep, loose gravel though. If I didn't have these wider hybrid tires, I would have just sunk down in the gravel. Would have been bad news bears. If you want to go back and watch my Varla Pegasus video, you can see my hands on this exact road, chattering up and down. And on this Varla Eagle 1, it feels almost smooth. Little bumpy, but you don't feel it in your whole body. The Pegasus has solid tires, and it's got really tiny spring suspension. Oh, one other thing about my upgraded rear shock. If you're under 185 pounds, you want to go for the 1,500 pound spring. And if you're over 185 pounds, you probably want to grab the 2,000 pound spring. It's a lot harder to bottom out the shock if you have the appropriate size spring. Yeah, this thing is just fun. All scooters are fun, but this one's easy to use and comfortable. Yeah, at the end of the day, it really does just remind me of a little bit weaker VSET 10 Plus. The VSET 10 Plus is 60 volts and this one's 52. So what that translates to is less low-end torque and a little less top-end speed. And the VSET does have that turbo button also. They call it sport mode or something. You can push that and you get like 60 seconds of higher amperage output, which boosts the scooter up to like 44 miles an hour, I think. It's also a much more expensive scooter. Oh, let's take the side trail then. I'm rocking 45 PSI in the tires right now. I've got no qualms. $720 millimeter bars, again for width, and that's about as wide as you want to go because it gets hard to get through, A, to get through door frames, and B, to get through technical off-road areas like that back there. And this is why we have the hybrids on there. No problem on this icy stuff. I've got spikes on the Mantis tires, and I've really been meaning to drive my van up to the mountains with the Mantis in the back and really get some nice snow ride footage in. That'd be cool. Take like an old logging road covered in snow with the spiked tires. That would be a fun video. And it will happen. Just a matter of time. Gotta give me a few weeks. All right, you guys, I think I'm gonna call it here. I just kind of wanted to show you guys around the upgrades that I've got on this thing. Like I said, I'll link them in the description so you can check them out yourself. Maybe you had fun on the little ride with me. If you did, subscribe to the channel. That's always appreciated. And go ahead and like the video, share it with your buddies. I'll probably do 1 or 2 more updates on the scooter when I get the rear fender situation resolved and I get the mega clamp on there, or the rugged clamp, whatever they call it. But in conclusion, this is the best scooter under $2,000 once you put these upgrades on it. Cannot be beat. All right, I'll see you guys next time.